right, welcome back in. Radio Row's Super Bowl 51, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. As show on the Radio Row is brought to you by Corona and Corona Light. And now joining us is our Fox confidant, former NFL player, that is Charles Peanut Tillman, joining us right now on the Zach Gelb Show. Charles, great to see you, and how are you?
I am well. How you doing?
Doing great. Now, the best retirement video I've ever seen was yours with the peanut punch. How did that come about, that entire video? Because it was brilliant.
Thank you, sir. Me and my producer slash director, Anthony Adams, or Spice Adams, we just kind of had this idea. He and I were talking, and it's like I wanted to do something peanut punch-like, so we just kind of came up with this idea together. He pitched a couple ideas, I pitched my own, and I knew I wanted to involve my family in it. So, yeah, I just figured I'd wake up and punch stuff around the house, you know, my everyday normal life, and, you know, really just try to bring fans into, you know, just the peanut punch and just make it funny.
Do you miss the game?
Oh, for sure, definitely miss the game. Yeah, I'll always miss it, but, you know, working for Fox has allowed me to stay close without actually hitting anybody, so my body feels good at the end of the day.
Just those hard takes, that's the most hitting you do these days, right?
Yeah, you know what? The hardest thing about what I do now is the teleprompter. The teleprompter is extremely tough, because when you work on off the teleprompter, you don't want to make it seem as if you're reading. You want to make it sound like it's a conversation. And the beautiful Carissa Thompson has been my teleprompter coach. She is by far the best teleprompter reader in the business, hands down, bar none. And I'm so glad that I get to sit next to her, and she helps me work through my reading skills, which I'm terrible at. But she has been a blessing as far as helping me transition. And hey, look, do this. She's, you know, giving me tips and advice, and it's really worked out. Her and Colin both.
Did the prompter ever go blank on you?
No, it's never went blank. If it does, I haven't gotten that far along in my lesson, so I don't know what I would do. I definitely don't know what I would do.
I'll give you some advice. As someone that it's happened to, just keep talking and everything's okay.
Yeah, I would probably, I'm glad you said that, because I would probably sit there and say, hey, the monitor went blank. What am I supposed to say? And it's live TV, so yeah.
Charles Peanut Tillman with us right now on the Zach Gelb Show. Your ability to create turnovers is just unbelievable. What made you so good at doing that?
Just awareness, I guess. You know, really just thinking about the ball, you know, trying to get the ball back to our offense. It was something that Coach Smith talked about all the time, something that we practiced, something that we preached. We did it in practice every single day, and, you know, it allowed us to be successful.
With the two Super Bowls that you played and obviously didn't go the way that you wanted them to, especially last year, what happened with Carolina in that big game? Because everyone was picking you guys to win.
Yeah, defense, man. You know, I think the Denver Bronco defense, they just they played an amazing game. And not to take anything away from the Panthers defense, I think we played amazing too. If you look back at that game, Super Bowl 50, both defenses played amazing. The the Broncos defense, they were I think they were +1, +2. You know, there's a stat going on at the beginning of the time. If you're +1, you have a 70% chance of winning the game. +2, 80% chance of winning that game. And at the end of the day, they created more takeaways than we do. And offensively, we gave the ball away to them. So
this matchup, you have two prolific offenses, they know how to put the ball in the end zone. It's going to be high scoring, and that's what the expectation is. With Julio Jones, if you were in that Patriots defensive back room, how would you try to prepare for a receiver of that caliber?
You know, I think you prepare the same way. I think really the more important question is, how do you stop him? And I think Malcolm Butler, he's as good guy as any. You know, I think his nickname, they call him Little Scrap, because he's a little guy, but he plays big and he's a little scrapper. So he fights for everything he gets. You know, I would have Malcolm Butler obviously press him, jam him up a little bit, hopefully trying to throw some type of timing off of with him and Matt Ryan.
And Malcolm Butler is one of those players, went to a small school, was unheard of until that interception in the Super Bowl a few years ago up against the Seahawks to get the Patriots their 4th Lombardi trophy. You have a background, I know you were a second-round pick, but you have a background of going to a smaller school. When you're told, hey, you can't do something, or you're not good enough to play at the Alabamas, the Floridas, how much does that motivate you just to prove those doubters wrong?
Oh, I think it motivates you a ton, you know. I think we all come into this game with a chip on our shoulder. I know for me, I had a bigger chip because when I got drafted, the Chicago media in particular, they didn't really know who I was, and they were saying, "Oh, why did the Bears take this guy with their second pick? That's, we've never heard of him. He doesn't have any experience playing with, big-time athletes. He went to this small, crappy school, blah 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 blah." And it kind of bugged me, and I really wanted to show the naysayers and the haters that I could do it. Just because I went to a small school doesn't mean that I can't play. I felt like I was a guy who fell through the cracks. I'm the diamond in the rough. So if you don't want to invest in me or give me a chance, I'll prove to you that I'm good and I'm supposed to be here and I deserve to be here.
Sometimes people forget there's a human element to it. That athletes, even though they get paid a lot of money and they have that star life, they're also humans and they have feelings. Like I get on this radio show when you leave or even when you're here and I could blast you. Just when people were blasting you early in your career and they were saying, "Oh, what were the Bears doing picking Charles Peanut Tillman?" Just how do you not let that really get you upset? And especially now with Twitter and everything, every fan has an avenue to reach you if you are on one of those social media platforms.
I try not to care what people say, meaning I try not to let what they say affect me in a negative way. I don't want to let you or anybody else steal my joy. And I don't think the media stole my joy when they said I wasn't a good player or what were they doing taking me. I think more than anything, it motivated me. And we all need motivation at times to do something. Nothing great was ever accomplished without inspiration. So it's inspiring when someone says you can't do anything, and I think that's what makes the human spirit so strong, mental toughness. And, with Twitter nowadays, I think you got to be mentally tough. Like, Twitter is one thing because those are just anyone and trolls just saying stuff just to piss you off. Media, I don't necessarily think I don't think they're trolls. I think they're just giving their honest opinions about a situation, and they're going to critique it, and they'll give you supporting facts why. On Twitter, it's just some kid or someone just saying it just to get something out of you. I think those are two totally different entities. I respect what the media say, but I don't necessarily have to agree with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. And when you were in the league as a rookie, even a second-year player, you had tremendous veterans in Chicago. What advice did you get early on in your career that you look back on and that really made an impact on your life?
Just do your job. And I know that's been the New England Patriots phase, but mantra. I just remember Brian Urlacher saying, "Hey man, just do your job. If you do this and you contain this person and you keep them inside the defense and don't let them get outside of us, that will allow me to do my job and I can make that tackle." So that was, one of the main things that I got from Brian Urlacher, Mike Brown, Alex Brown, Adewale and Gunleye. Those were all the guys that the Olin Kreutz do your job and we'll be okay.
The Patriots have built this mentality of do your job, like you're saying, and the Patriot way to me is just the sacrifice of maybe your statistics go down a little bit, but overall it's a team that they take players from other avenues that have been rejects and they just ask them to do their strengths, and that's all Bill really asks of them. You really see that with their wide receivers. Julian Edelman was a 7th-round pick. Chris Hogan played lacrosse 3 years at Penn State. With those receivers, what stands out to you about them and the unit that they have in New England that Brady throws to?
Grit. I think that's the first word that comes to mind when I look at their receivers. They're not the biggest, they're not the fastest, they're not the most athletic, there are a lot of things that they're not, but the one thing that they do is they grind. They work for each other, they lay it out there for each other. And they got grit. They stick to it, and they will get the job done. They're not all about me, throw me the ball, I want the ball, I need the ball, throw me the damn ball. That's not how they operate. They're about, hey, if I'm open, throw me the ball. If I'm not, we'll throw it to this guy. Whatever will get us to that next level or whatever will get us in the end zone, that's what we're about, and I really think that's the true strength of the Patriot way.
Tom does so many great things. Obviously, he's one of, if not the greatest quarterbacks of all time. In my opinion, the best quarterback ever. Something that he does, though, is in his later years is the way that he moves around the pocket and gets away from that rush by stepping up in the pocket and also gets the football out so quickly. How do you prepare for that? Because it's tough when you're going up against a quarterback and he gets that ball out in under 2 seconds.
Yeah, pass rush. You know, looking back at what the Houston Texans did, you know, I think Romeo Crennel did a really good job as far as putting a defensive game plan trying to stop them. Jadeveon Clowney, Whitney Merciless, they all did a really good job of getting to Tom Brady. And I remember looking at that game, and Tom Brady's kind of like looking back, looking at his line like, damn, y'all gonna block somebody? Because and I think it really shook him up a little bit because Brady has never really been hit. And that was a game where he got hit, and I think it kind of shook him a little bit. And they probably would have lost the game if the Houston Texans would have had some type of an offense. But their defense played amazing. I think they played well enough to win that game. They just didn't have any offense. So to get to Tom Brady to shake him up a little bit, to throw off some of that timing, you got to hit him. And the Houston Texans did that in the divisional round.
Before we let you run, and we'll talk about your great raffle in just a second, now working with Fox, give me the analyst breakdown. Who do you like to win this game?
My heart says the Atlanta, but my gut is saying to go with my gut is saying to go with New England. I say that because they're battle tested, they're ready, they're proven. They've played the Atlanta Falcons system 3 times. I think their overall, their Patriot way of doing your job, I just feel that they're going to win.
I've always loved the charity work that you've done. So tell me about this raffle and the money you're trying to raise to and what the cause is for.
So I have a raffle. You can go to charlestillman.rallyup.com or go to my social media platforms at Peanut Tillman. For $10, you can come to Super Bowl 51 on Me, the Foundation. I'm giving away 2 tickets to the Super Bowl, 2 nights in a hotel, airfare, and some spending cash. And you will personally get a phone call by me game day. Or excuse me, Thursday when I call.
Sounds great. You know, a lot of people listening out there in Philly and Jersey. We hope they win and they're able to get that phone call from you. Just one last thing before we let you run. Charity's always been so important to you. Why is that?
You know, in 2008, my daughter received a heart transplant. And, you know, there was a stranger, a woman that I didn't know. She made a choice to donate her son's organs, and my daughter was the recipient of a heart. And I don't really consider it me, like, paying it back with my charity work. I consider it paying it forward. And, you know, a woman, a stranger, she helped me in my deepest and darkest time. And really, I'm just trying to pay it forward and serve others like she served myself.
Everything okay with your daughter now?
Everything's okay. She'll be 9 next month.
Great. Tell her when it's her birthday, we say happy birthday. Peanut Tillman, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
No worries. Thank you.